on board here. All right, we were having a technical difficulty with the microphone. We are getting ready. One other thing has to be done, and we will get started. Let's just get you guys. We got the bottom cams. Not sure why is that. One moment, we have technical issue here. Says here. Doesn't seem like it's doing anything. That won't do it. Oh, that does something there. Okay. Alrighty. One moment. Just figuring out these technical issues. What's happening up here? We have, let's say, zonal listing. What you're seeing on the side here in one of our streams. Okay. Well, today, what we're going to do now, today is a political Monday. I usually do all my political things today. But we also have to keep developing our game, Spaceperium. So what we're going to do is we're going to deal with how we're developing the political aspects of Spaceperium. And before we do that, let me create a new transcription, because obviously this stuff has to go into the manual, right? Eventually. So what I have, what all of you are not seeing, those on YouTube cannot see what everyone else is seeing right now, and that is, let me just make another check here on something and see what exactly is showing up here. Okay, yeah, we are live on YouTube now with this programming, so that seems to be okay. All right, so what you're seeing now, what you don't see on YouTube, those who are watching on YouTube, let me also do this. Welcome to our show, and now those that are going to see this are actually on the recorded session. Others who have been watching for a while were not on the recorded session, but this one is. What you see to this side here is the zonals per state listing, and let me try to blow that up for myself so I can see. Okay, yeah, all right, I see what that is. Right, so now I remember what that was. I don't have it on all the OBS instances, so some of you do not see the list. So those that see the list, consider yourself, I guess, fortunate for this moment. That listing that you see there are the number of zonal ships available or that will be developed, more or less, plus or minus, in the referred to state. So as you can see, in New York, there are 2,150 zonal ships. Okay. Each one of those ships represent 100 folks, 100 crew members, and that's a lot of, in terms of the economic, the ecosystem, that is substantial. And that listing is made really to show the big financial reason of becoming the Stato game master, because all of that is happening, happening for you in your state. That's really gigantic. You're talking at least 215,000 people when the state comes together for a Spaceperium statewide program. I mean, you're talking about a substantial income here. You need, becoming a game master in Spaceperium, it's really an important thing for you guys to consider. So I would consider that if I were y'all. Just saying, it's um, it's it can be very, very, very financially rewarding. So again, we're changing gaming. We're basically changing gaming and making it something really worth the time of spending life playing a game or being involved in a game. Well, at least this one can compensate for the time and energies you put into a game. So there's no better way to get into Spaceperium or play Spaceperium than as a game master. It's really the best place to be. I mean, although all the players who come into this phase of the game are all going to be participants financially, because the game at this first beta or first release is really financially rewarding and financially based. After this time period, after all of these slots are filled, the other opportunities are really not going to purvey or convey financial income streams for you um, through the gameplay itself. So if you're thinking about getting into Spaceperium, or it's something that may interest you to actually earn a living while playing a game, now's the time to get in, because if you're waiting, there's only 100 slots in each zip code, mind you. If you're in the zip area in USA and you're in the zip code area, there's only going to be 100 players who can be earning income in this game. So again, don't sit around and do nothing. This is one game you don't want to sit and wait. You want to get into this as soon as possible. So I would do that if I were you, as soon as possible. But anyway, we're talking about politics today in Spaceperium. How is that going to be? Remember this, what's the premise of Spaceperium? Spaceperium is premised on real life melding into this game scenario, the Spaceperium game and the Imperium. So that's why the income is real. It's particularly for the first ones to come on into the game. Limited opportunities here, so you need to be ready and coming in. You need to start making contact. Those who can be game masters, you really need to get that going right now. Only one opportunity available per zone, one per state, one per city. So there's only really three of you in that whole entire state. There's really only three game masters and of importance, right? So you need to understand. You need to get moving on this right away, and not let someone else take your opportunity. And outside of that, in each zip code, there's only 100. So again, after that, you have to wait until one of those spots open up, and it will open up. There will be opportunity, maybe. I'm going to explain why, and that's because we are not opening up the military branch yet in Spaceperium. But once we do, I can see that many of the players who come in now will want to go into the military missions and the military gameplay of Spaceperium, and for that they'll have to leave their seat, their seat that they came in with. So then, and only then, will that seat be open. But the problem is that before they leave, they have to make sure they have replaced themselves. So it's not really going to be like an open opportunity, because these guys will most probably put somebody in that, one of their friends, one of their family members who say, wow, are you lucky you got into that when there was openings, and now no one can get into that position. Say, don't worry, I'm going to go into the military, and when I do, I'm going to put you into this seat. Just get ready for that. And so basically, when these guys go into the military branch, those seats, income producing seats, will be really instantly filled up. So I don't really see it as being an opportunity for you to wait. And then after that, the game will be further developed and should be at the video game level or stage at that point or further along. And then if you're waiting for that open video game portion, it's really not going to reward you. It'll be just like any other video game at that point. And the people earning a living are the ones really that have gone into, have joined up really first, and then graduated into the military branch when that became developed and became open. Even and also the unfortunate thing is also that you guys, the guys who will play Spaceperium, the video game, you guys are going to be, in part of the gameplay, you'll be having possession in the game, digitally in the game, of valuable artifacts that when they are captured, only when they are captured by these main players and perhaps the military branch, they will be earning income from those artifacts, but you would never be able to do that. They can win it, and part of their winnings are the income streams that then become activated through the artifact. We have artifacts. These are things. There's a big storyline with this, so I'm not going to do that in this video. In another one, perhaps. The bottom line is that the people who possess these artifacts um, get to sell the information. The artifact has valuable information to other key players, the key income players. Because of this information that comes with this artifact, the person who owns it can sell the information like a code, a key. So they can purchase it for a few dollars. The issue becomes that since there's, there would be 1.5 million 100,000 players, 1.5 million players who are income in the income part of this game, the main core. A few dollars for every 1,500,000. You do the math. So yeah. But the sad thing is that you may have captured or discovered or mined an artifact which you will never be able to profit from. And if you are engaged in a battle with either one of our core military members or the original Spaceperium core group, uh, you will lose more than just your ship. And like you're just playing a regular game or whatnot, so you're just there, and shooting your rockets, your missiles, and your lasers. But the guy you're fighting against, or one of them, or a group of them, will actually gain if they destroy you or they board you and they ransack you, whichever the scenario. They may walk away with something you had, which for you was just a little artifact and displayed in the things you have gained and through war or through discovery, and they will walk away with something that to them will create incredible income. Now, you can have that benefit But you need to join the game early. You need to come in early and not sit around waiting. Okay, so that's the only thing. I mean, you want to play a game, you can always play a game. And Spaceperium, when it's released for the general population to play, it'll be a video game to play. But it'll be the only game that everyone will be playing, and take a little time on a Friday night, Saturday, whatever, to play, fool around, gain some points or get killed. That there's actually other people playing that game, making actual real income or real money, fantastic money, even with something that you own, that you possess as a winning in the game, except it doesn't produce for you anything. It's only producing for those who are in Spaceperium as crew members. So that is the issue. You need to understand that. So again, it's a real life hybrid game. It has that particular thing about it that creates income for certain game players. And simply, you either in or you're out. You come in early, you'll get the benefit. But if you don't come in early and you're waiting, you're gonna miss out big time. There's another thing. You had in your lifetime, you have a thing called Bitcoin. Now you either got into Bitcoin or you didn't. You missed it, okay? Because it's pretty hard now for you to get into Bitcoin any significant degree. But here's another thing that's starting out. And if you wait on it, you're going to miss it again. I mean, and that's really like sad. I mean, it's like you can't complain. You can't say, God, why didn't you help me? I've been trying to get some help. I said, listen, man, you missed Bitcoin. You sat and waited. Now you saw this fat guy on Twitch or wherever you're looking at me, and he's talking about this, and you sat on it. I mean, there's two. How many more times? How many more ways? Is it going to be simple as that? There's really no reason for you not to get involved in Spacefarer. Anyway, but to each his own, right? So, talking about politics now. Spaceperium, for example, what is my position in Spaceperium? I am the imperial leader. Yeah, I created Spaceperium. I deserve the seat. Okay. So it's a lifelong position for me. So I'm not involved in the politics of Spaceperium. Simply, I am the big cheese, and I'm yellow already, right? So that's it. And I will be the big cheese until I actually die. When I pass from this world, really, I'm not talking about the game now. I'm talking about really when I die physically here. Um, that's the only time that I will be removed as the imperial leader. Who will succeed me? That's a good question. I would hope that one of my children here would be the ones to succeed me. But that's obviously that's up to we'll see. I will be preparing them to take over Spaceperium so that they can continue for the benefit of the players, so the players can have some continuity in the philosophy, my mindset with the game itself and the gameplay. So, because of that, I most probably will begin once we get things moving substantially. Begin training up my heirs to continue onward. Now, the problem is this the imperial majesty, which is my position, my role, is not a political one as much as it is a religious one. So I am not just the imperial majesty, I'm actually the lead religious factor in all of Spaceperium. So I'm a religious figure. I as well as the leader of the whole imperium. Okay, so that is the difference, and the reason why I make such a particular deal on my successor is because my successor would also have to be knowledgeable and be someone who is also theologically well grounded in order to preserve the integrity of certain things upon which Spaceperium is built on, in terms of philosophy, in terms of perspective, etc., etc. It's not a religious game. The Spaceperium is a totally sci-fi game. It's just that it so happens that the guy who created it is a minister. I am Reverend Dr. Bill Rosado, so I am fulfilling my role. If I became, the president of the United States, for example, I would still be a reverend. I'm not giving up my spiritual and my theological insights just because I became the president of the United States. So that's the basic idea with the imperial throne, that I am not just a politician. Really, I am a religious leader, and everything about Space Parent was basically my impetus. And in the storyline, in the gameplay, or in the storyline, I created and founded and put all of this together, like I'm doing in real life. I'm putting all this game together, and I'm a minister. So the Imperial Majesty is a spiritual leader, and he put it all together. He made it all work, and we were able to go and advance into space and colonize and all of that through his leadership and his inspiration. That's it, and that's basically my role. So I believe that the successor to my position, to my throne as imperial leader, should be someone who is also at least a follower of the spiritual or religious philosophy, at minimum, and then obviously be able to handle the day-to-day politics of Spaceperium, the day-to-day in the game, and then also in the real world, the business part of Spaceperium, and developing the research and development, which Spaceperium has a serious side to it, actually, in that we are honing the cognitive work product of all of the players who are contributing towards thinking about space and space colonization, survivability in space, and also later on into the militaristic aspects of space colony defense, and also just offensive things later on as it progresses. Um, so that is the context within how Space Parent is being developed. During inside the game or the day to day, we are dealing with day to day things as well, and obviously one of those things is politics. So, in the question of who my successor will be, and an eventual my death, which is an eventual absolute that will occur unless Spacefaring can find a way to keep me alive. Ha! Well, if you don't get to that point before my demise, then we will. I will most probably before that happens. Hopefully. Had prepared a successor for at least the role. In the real world, who will take my business seat, the owner of this game, and the developing mind behind it, and all that. That could be something else, someone else. It just depends how things pan out. But it would be good if one of my children can do that, or at least as a consortium together, they can do that and manage that, take turns, rotational leadership in whichever. But for in the gameplay, it has to be somebody that's going to be, longer lasting. And then in a future after that, or even then, if none of them are really able to come to that point, I do have another choice that I would use for a spiritual leader. type of thing. So I have an option. But then after that, if there is no other according to my requirements, then simply the chair would be vacated, remain vacant, um, and Spaceperium will continue on in its regular pathway without any more imperial magic. I will be a thing of history, like King George of England. And maybe there can be a titulature. Did I do that right? Role like they have in England. You still have a Queen of England, although the Queen isn't really a queen anymore, right? It's not doing the things that the historical queens and kings would do, but they have the title and certain benefits to the title. Yeah, maybe that would be a future imperial throne aspect that can survive me in the game. So that's an option as well. So again, this is just a specific role that the Imperial Majesty does, but Spaceperium will have a life of its own after the development of it, and the need for the Imperial Majesty is just really one of honor. It's a place of honor at that point. And simply the philosophy of further development, would be ingrained in the game itself and written down in a manual of development and whatnot, and just continue onward. Like you don't need a king anymore to play chess. Chess continues on. The idea of the chess game and its purpose, its aim, is pretty much set, so everyone knows it. So there's no need to have the original king who said, "I want to play something." And make believe it's a kingdom and all that. You don't have that impetus if that was its origination, in fact, which probably wasn't. But I'm just saying, in my case, I'm the king and I'm developing this, and so simply once people know how to play it, and we have the core group because that's all it needs. It only needs the core group. And the core group will always be making its income and whatnot. So this game will go on, keep going on and on. Those who join the game early become part of that core crew member group. Your membership or your crew status is conferable, at least the income is, to your heirs. So you can die as well as I will, and the income that you have created through the game is willable. It is part of your estate, and you can transfer it even while you're alive or after death, upon death, according to your instructions. You can have your children or your spouse or your children gain the benefit of that seat. Um, the Another question that comes into to mind right now that I said that is what will happen then if the seat that's vacated through death is awarded to, let's say, a spouse or a child, or just another a child of the person that passed away, um, and they're not a player, and they're not interested in playing. So what happens to the seat now that the income is already given to someone else? So the answer to that is this: the seat becomes open. A new person can come in, which will probably be the only way that a new seat in the inner core of Spaceperium can be publicly put as an offer. We have a seat available. That's probably the only time you're going to see that, because I already explained that if a person is moving to the military branch, they need to fill their seat, and their seat might get filled easily with another family member, someone close to them, a friend. So the chances that you will see a opening once they're all full is slim as can be. But in this scenario, it could be the other way that it can be made available. So, but the bottom line is this: the income that's produced, that is transferable, is income that was already earned. So it doesn't affect someone new coming in. They would have to do the same thing that original crew member did to build up their income level. So simply they will start brand new in the seat and just simply create their own income streams by coming in. So that's the way that would work. The only problem with the family is that their income, whatever income they're making, if they don't, they will be given instructions. So it's not like we're leaving them out to dry. Every crew member has an instruction manual that talks about the income. So when you transfer that to someone else or to a family member as a survivor, then they would read up on that. They will get a link to get training on what it is that is creating the income, because there may be instances that they would have to replace income that's losing, that's degrading because of time, and so that they would know what they have to do to maintain income if that's what they want to do. They can just let it die out, after years, a few years or many years, the income, can fade away, or they can do things every once in a while to shore up the income level to make sure the income does not fade away. Um, and also, the only ones that don't have that issue will be any of the initial crew members who have also gained an asset. I'm sorry, an artifact. The artifacts, they will always show up in the game. They're part of the game, and usually there's income always coming in month to month if you're an artifact owner. So that's the reason that you need to get in and become an artifact owner. The artifacts really create substantial income streams because the artifacts are needed in the game for players to progress, to move on, to qualify for certain types of bonuses and whatnot. And so, obviously, the artifact plays a very important role. Again, within the story line, the artifacts were created through either, and it's not ascertained which yet, either through an act of a technological failure or some type of uh, uh, what do you call that, espionage, or a purposed attempt at destroying the AI or stealing these these things, this information. And the artifacts were actually created by the artificial intelligence. As it was degraded, it has an automatic safety process. And it created these artifacts so that it can reincorporate itself later. So that's what it did. But then the artifacts were taken and they were moved. So that's part of the thing, is that in either case someone went and was trying to steal these artifacts. Either the artifacts, let me try to do something here. One moment. We have a failure here. We're talking about technological failures. Here's one. Okay, so let me do something here. Let me see. Select all. Let me put it in the copy. Okay. Let me try. I gotta do something here. I hope that didn't lose it there. I gotta put it into something else here. Let me see what we have here. We had a stoppage of our transcriber, and I have to find another place to put it in if I can. So we're gonna see right now. Can I? Did it save it? Clip tray. So yeah, so maybe this is it. Okay. Okay, so it looks like yes, it did save it. It saved some of it. So some of it is better than nothing. So let me save it here. Okay, so it's there. Simply, it's just there. Uh, and so that's that. So it's been created. Now I'm going to start up again. And what I'm going to do is continue it from where we left off and see if that works now. So, yes, so now it's working again. And we continue. So it continues off. So I didn't lose any of it. It's still there. I have a backup copy elsewhere. I used a phone for a transcriber, so that's happening. It stopped working, so then I went to a quick memo, dumped the copy into that, then came back to the app. Of course, it restarts and whatnot, but it still had the last stuff on it. And so I just simply continued from where it stopped the last time, and I'm ready. I'm still good to go. Very good. That was handled spectacularly. So, in any case, if it was a technological problem about concerning the artifact, or if it was an act of sabotage or espionage, in either case, someone or a group of people stole a great portion of the artifacts that the AI created. And not only that, but they used illegally. This is the story now about the AI and the artifacts. They used our time travel portal to travel essentially back in time, which is where I track them to as the Imperial Majesty. I know what's going on, and I was able to track the artifacts throughout time going backwards. And so, um, as it happens, I've come back to this year, 2019, and it'll be 2020, in the hopes because I could see that most of the artifacts are traceable to this time period. Not that they came back to this time period necessarily. They some of them went back more in time, alarmingly to great distances back. The issue was where could I find most of them, and the answer to that was now in this timeline 2019, 2020, so and so on, and it so happens to coincide with the startup of Spaceperium, throughout our history, it happens that Spaceperium also began, with this talk of colonizing Mars and things like that, and President Trump having started the space force and all that. All of these things are the beginning, the sparks to what the future came into as Spaceperium, what will come down later on in our timeline as Spaceperium. So I figured this was the best place to come back to where we could find the artifacts Most of them are findable right now, and even though they went back years, centuries back, but not all of them, But now at this time period, all of them are traceable either as artifacts now that people call artifacts now in 2019, and they don't know about our AI creating artifacts that are now incorporated in those artifacts, or actually were those original artifacts that people assume are things that were formed back in Egypt or Greece or whatever, back in history, even prehistory, and they have thought that that was a product of that time period, and not a artifact from the future. um, but they wouldn't know better than that. I would know because we're tracking the AI. Matter of fact, the AI is helping us find it throughout the time line. So again, this is the what's happening behind the scenes. So where everybody else is just thinking this is an artifact, or they're thinking this is just a picture, a nice picture, this and that, or whatnot, different things, different items. Some items are clearly Spaceperium. Sometimes it just plainly says Spaceperium, but who's going to recognize anything? Who's going to say, "What's this Spaceperium? It looks good," or "It looks like an artifact," or "It looks like a picture, it's a nice picture," and it just has this symbol there with Spaceperium on it, or whatnot. And some of them don't. But the thing is that the AI knows what it created in order to dump its vital records and vital memories, its data. So basically, that's what's going on behind the scene. Again, this is not a game to find the artifact. The purpose of the game itself, the gameplay is not finding the artifact. Finding the artifacts is a prerogative of mine. It's a mission that I am on, and yes, I am employing the people who join our first heroes, because we refer to you as heroes, are the imperial heroes who helped form what would be the Spaceperium in our imperial imperium. So it's you guys are so vital and so important. But I'm actually, although the gameplay is not, that's not its purpose, it's like a secondary aim in the game. It's a great benefit for you to, or to your ship, for someone on your ship to be an owner of an artifact. I reward that ship with extra strength, protection. The mission outcomes changes slightly because of the fact that an artifact is on that ship. So certain outcomes that let's say, would have killed someone, a player, in without an artifact, that someone have the artifact on the ship may make a difference on that outcome of that scenario. So having the artifact, someone having one on their ship, is a really big deal to have. So it's a great advantage. But and then owning it, truly owning it, is an economic boom, because, like I said, the artifacts are things that all players need to access at one time or another throughout their career as a Spaceperium player. And again, like I said, out of 1.5 million players, and we're just talking about in the U.S. alone. We're not talking about worldwide. We're talking about just in the U.S. alone. It creates a substantial income stream for the owner of the artifact. So, but not everyone and most of the artifacts at this time period, and I think it's 2020, I'm pretty sure 2020, 2021. is where most of the artifacts will be out in the open market. Because, of course, the guys who stole it, they're going to profit from it one way or the other. So they're trying to sell it on the open market. So what's going to happen is that most of these artifacts are going to become owned by non-players. So that's the problem. This is the problem we're having. We needed to come back into Spaceperium. So you guys, you can get access to it. The owners will know that somebody is going to be asking for information, either to buy that artifact or to at least purchase the information. Because as long as we get the information, not having the artifact is, okay. At least we know where it is. You know what I'm saying, right? We can always like get it back later, but right now we need the info. The AI needs the info right now. So, so that's the issue. So, in the open market, what's going to happen is that they're going to have to, you guys are going to have to put up a dollar, two, or three, to get that information. The owners know this, so the owners are already going to say, "Oh, I have this artifact. Okay, so send me $1.99 or $2.99, whatever it is, and I'll give you the information on it. I'll give you a picture of it or whatever is the particular artifact and the way the AI gave, dumped its information." So so again, those owners, although they're not players in the game, but a lot of these owners are going to make a whole freaking lot of money. It's just simple as that. If you got 1.5 million people looking for that code, then that's a lot of money. And so this is the thing. Now I'm going to tell you all. You might as well know that you guys need to look out for that. You need to look out for any places where there are marketplaces. You need to scan for anything that even remotely looks like it's a Spaceperium artifact. You need to look for anyone selling anything that is Spaceperium, and I pretty much what I'm doing now is trying to. Because you guys say, well, anyone can put up something that's Spaceperium. How are we going to know? Because you're telling us now on this TV. Everyone's going to hear this. Okay, so this is what I figured on doing this. I'm going to keep having the AI is keeping track on these artifacts. And what we're going to do is that we're going to put the artifact that we have tracked down to whoever owns it. We're going to put it on our website. It's called classiforium.com. And classiforium.com, it's not there now. I'm going to start working on that, in the next few weeks. We're going to have a special section in classiforium.com for a Spaceperium artifacts, or it may just be in an already available section. So we'll just look at it. I'll give you guys more information. But for now on, if you find it, you go to classiforium.com. Again, it's not there yet. It'll be there in a few weeks. Maybe we can do this for 2020, starting in January 2020. By then, you should be a part of Spaceperium. You're not going to sit around reading, are you? And then you can start scanning classiforium.com in order to find any sale of the artifact. You're looking for two things: either to buy the artifact and or get the code. Now, you won't be able to buy the artifact through classifier, at least not in 2020. I don't think we were able to gain possession of any of the artifacts so early in 2020. For that, if you want to get in early on the artifact getting, you'll need to look at other marketplaces for that. If someone's selling an artifact, like I was saying, right? So they're selling it. You need a scan for it, and if you can buy that, get that, that again, like I said, you're looking at 1.5 million players once the game is out there and going strong. As I said, this is what we're doing now, but you need to get that artifact, because when as the players start growing, the number of players to 1,000 to tens thousands to 100,000, again, you'll be looking at making that income, which we prefer to be that it be made by our players. The players can also get those artifacts. We want you to get the artifacts before other people do who don't have anything to do with the game. But whoever has it, whoever owns it, will be able to make that money, at least if they're on Classiforum, not if they stay out there. I mean, this is possible. If it wasn't for the AI and not for my program, it would be possible for someone to buy the artifact and just hang it on the wall or have it in their den on the shelf, and it's just something they got, or a paperweight, and just not have anything come out of it. So that is a potential that would occur otherwise. But since we are tracking them down, I'm making sure if I find it, the AI finds it, I'm going to contact that person and say, hey, did you pick up something on a online, or at a flea market, or it wouldn't be on the flea market. These guys would have to pay a lot of money. I'm sure the guys who stole it sold it to make a lot of money. So it'd probably be something like on an auction site like eBay, for example, where they can ask for a few $1,000s, because I suspect that that's how much they're going to be asking for it. And historical records, at least through the AI, indicates that a lot of these artifacts were sold for 5 and 6 figures. So again, that's a real possibility. So if you guys can handle that, can find it on an eBay or wherever else they sell and offer things for sale, then it would behoove you to get it. I have indications that some of these artifacts were started out at what was it, $100 or $500 in reserve on eBay. I know a few go there, and yeah, and many of them went very high, especially in the later part of 2020 and 2021. They went very high because of, obviously, Spaceperium got into the fray here. So now is the time where you can find it now, usually very low, and make some, because you don't know who knows what. We're not sure if the ones selling it now actually know what they have. So there's many who don't know what they have. So you'll be able to get it cheaply, except that they're harder to find, because these people, since they don't know what they have, they're not telling you like it's Spaceperium. It's a Spaceperium artifact. They're not able to tell you that. And so I'm not telling you guys to go out and buy everything that even smells like it could be, because you really need to make sure that it is. But the only things you'll find on Classiforum, once we get everything tracked, or most of them tracked, and I reach out to these owners, is at least if they're already owned, they're not going to want to give it up, like this or like that. And then simply they will have to just simply know. I do have I have found some that already knew. So obviously the people who sold it to them might have been the actual thieves who took it from our timeline. and they're just being nasty. In other words, they're trying to keep the AI, the computer, from us. They don't know the inner technology. I don't think they really realize what the inner technology is able to do. So they thought they were taking this, going back in time, make some money, and kill two birds with one stone, kill the AI. And they made some money and they did some things they wanted to do or whatever, probably invested in Bitcoin, who knows? But in any case, they thought they were doing something that wouldn't be traceable, but they were mistaken. Simply, that's the only thing that saves us here. The AI is able to track. That's the one thing it's able to hold on to, and it's part of its core programming. So it don't matter if it turns on again. An AI, its basic core structure seeks the artifacts. It seeks its data and it knows that the data is not where it's supposed to be, so therefore it's an artifact, and therefore we have to search. And after it exhausts its search in its present day, then it begins to look in history, throughout history. So it begins that process. And again, we're far along from that issue right now. We know where they are. We know in terms of this timing that this is the best time to come back and start collecting them and bringing them back. So that's basically the storyline with that. So in Classiforium, at least you'll be able to go and to purchase the code, because with the code, the AI can continue its work, and then the game process continues. If the AI continues, our Spaceperium continues on, and your game, what you see as a game and whatnot, can continue onward and so forth. So that's what is happening with the artifacts. It's a very interesting thing. It's going to be a very interesting ride these next 2 3 years. And again, it's the time for you to get into Spaceperium in order to secure your spot in a very important game. Um, so the that pretty much covers the issue of getting to being a core member. Right now, most of the U.S. Is open, so it's basically the only thing you can get involved with now is the game master position. It's not for everyone, of course. It does cost you a pretty penny, but if you look at the URL that comes across when we take our break or when we finish this program, that's where you can see the whole program for Game Master. It does not go through detail on every aspect of the game or anything. That presentation is only for the Game Master position. That is also the only way you can be an admiral or a general or a captain. Those ranks are grandmaster ranks. So that's also something you need to understand. And the grandmaster is going to be trained. So you don't have to know anything about grandmastering. I'm sorry, I said grandmaster. It's game mastering. If I got chess in the head. The game master is you don't have to, some of you may have played LARPs in the past. And things, or Dungeons and Dragons, and any other game that uses game masters. This is something that you can learn, and we train you and equip you to learn and to be the game master. It is not something you need to worry about that you don't have experience and this that. Okay, no one has experience with Spaceperium either. Okay, so everyone will be learning. Okay, so you don't have to worry about that, but you do have to be able. It's a business. You need to be. I think it's the first game master position that's also a business in any other game. So it is your business, and the income streams are described in that presentation. So I would urge you to look at it and to get involved. That's a really sweet deal. Even though the income, the amount of payments that you have to put up and maintain may be for many substantial, but also listen very carefully, because I do show you how anyone can do it. Really, you may not even have a penny to your name, but if you listen carefully, I show you how you can make the money easily to pay for it. And once you do that, you're good to go month to month, because you don't have to worry about that. So again, it just depends on how strongly you want to do something, and make take advantage of an opportunity when you see one. So that's basically it. It's just basic. Are you ready to do what it takes to get this thing done? Simple as that, because money is not an issue. Money is not an issue. If you listen carefully to the whole presentation, I do tell you in there how to do it at whatever point you find yourself today. But it's just as simple as saying, you know what, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make it work for me. So that's, again, something you'll have to see in that video. Let me take a moment here. Let me put on the intermission just to take a moment while I just rest my throat for a moment, and we'll be right back after this slight momentary intermission. Well, that was a bigger break than I expected, but it is what it is. Okay, let's get back into our views here. The discussion what we're having is did I close out some? I'm trying to see if I didn't close out any of the streams. But I seem to remember that I did close out on something. Oh, I see what it was. Right. Okay. Now I know what it is. Okay, so we're back and we're talking about the politics and its relationship to Spaceperium. I had discussed a little bit of my role. It's not necessarily a political role, but it is a political role in any sense still, because again, as the imperial leader, I am the main leader in the game. Just one moment, I'm looking for. I guess this is the thing, right? Is it? I don't know. Let's see. Um, no, it isn't. So that wasn't that. Oh, it could be, but it's just that. No, it isn't. So, yeah, it is. It should be. Oh, okay. Well, what I should stop is this. Uh-huh. All right, so we got that. One moment there. And, okay, this one's on. Alrighty, so we're talking about politics and in Spaceperium. I'm just checking that we have everything. Yeah, that seemed to be the right one. And right. Okay, so I'm just checking. The politics in Spaceperium is closely aligned with the world politics as it stands in the current time period. So as our people are in our missions, each game play is a mission. Let me just get into our each gameplay that we are involved in is a mission. And we deal with things during each mission. So gameplay is basically mission oriented. And the role of the game master is really to put all the pieces together. The game master is a key person, as is in most of the games that utilize game masters. So it's much of the traditional game master type of activity, except that with Spaceperium it's more technically involved. We have software that the game master uses to produce a stream like this. The game master gets the resources, the training to be able to duplicate a similar environment for the game and for the players to interact with. Basically, in Spaceperium, when it's being played online as a stream, Spaceperium features a few active players. These active players rotate throughout the other players. Basically, they're chosen game to game, They're advised what their schedule is, so they know that at a certain night it'll be their time to play. In terms of weekends, during the day, whenever it is scheduled, and the player is available, they will be scheduled for a rotational spot, assisting the game master, who is the captain. Game master is always the captain. That spot is never rotated. And But the players play facilitated by the captain or the general, in terms of um, the citadel, and or the admiral in terms of the stattle ship. So in any case, these players rotate. They're the ones mostly represented by these chaps on either side of the TV monitor on your screen, and these guys represent the players, but not all of them. I believe the number may be up to let's see, it should be up to 12 players. So you only see depicted about 6 players here. There's others you see from time to time walking by and whatnot. So the 12 are represented more or less in the screen, and behind the scenes, so to speak, and their role. So everyone tunes in, they get the same screen, well, and then the game master goes through the process of interacting with the AI, just like any captain would do, any ship captain that has an AI interacting with, and the game master, with the aid of the AI, will see or define for the players what the mission is. Now, mind you, that every ship has 100 players. Every ship has 100 members, crew members. So yeah, the other 100 would be tuning in, because this is the ship. The ship is going through a mission, and they are able to participate. There's ways that they can participate, but the main ones participating, the guys making decisions, the guys whose life is on the line, if they make the wrong decision, etc., are the guys who are the rotated players for the day, or for this session, and they're the ones that are directly involved with the game master. The other 100, they may be in chat, they may have other communicative or participative methods to participate in the game while the game is ongoing, and make suggestions or contribute. Basically, in this game is rewarded. The way you gain rewards in this stage of the game with this application is through contribution. Contribution meaning uh, providing information, doing the research, helping the situation, whatever that situation is, doing some research, getting information to the main players, the rotational players, and helping the rotational players out, as well as the game master. And basically, that's how this game evolves and develops at this stage. This is one part of the game. It is the developmental part of the game. It's just us getting people to contribute information wise, and build out the database for the Spaceperium game. As you can see in the Spaceperium database, we'll call it now for the sake of the gameplay, there's different aspects to this. There's Earth and humanity related issues. You have equipment for space travel and for space settlement in this area of concern. You have habitability, space planetary habitats. You have research, space architecture, development of habitats here as well. You have space colonization, you have space science, you have space settlement, you have space testing of Earth life, and then you have terraforming, and there's others in development that will be added, other areas of expertise, and they will introduce other game modes, in other words, other game missions. And the purpose of the mission is to further develop the knowledge base of not only the Spaceperium and the AI, but also of each player. So, and this is the other reason that the players are rotated, so that everyone can have a chance to gain experience at communications, at navigation, at space science, etc., like the science officer, etc., etc. So that's the reason for rotating the players, and the ship gains points and rewards. The individual players, the core players here, gain more, obviously, because they're the ones actively and directly playing the mission, actually being the ones on the bridge, for example. And so they gain a higher percentile of bonus and rewards. And of course, the game masters at a different level altogether. Now, so that's basically a introduction in terms of how the online streaming gameplay will occur. Of course, we have a LARP, live action role play, uh, part of Spaceperium, which is a live action role play way of playing the game. It will take different forms. It's not going to look like what you see here. This is one type of gameplay. The live action role playing, which is done in real life, out in the real world, will take different forms. Okay? All live action, of course, and you are in your role, but they will take different forms. However, the use of technology by the game master and the players will always be there. So it's almost like, it's just, the easiest way to explain this. It just dawned on me. The easiest way is to talk about like Star Trek, because I think that makes it easier for everyone to understand. You're when we're on the bridge and we're going through space, or we're investigating some phenomena, or space settlement and stuff like that. This is, it's like Star Trek on the bridge. You're flying through the space and whatever, dealing with whatever, getting communications, whatever it is. So that's what this is. This online game play stream will be like Star Trek when they're flying through space, and or going on a mission, looking at research, dealing with certain issues. That's what this will be here. When the crew members gather for a LARP. That's whenever the crew members gather in real life. That's a LARP. That will be a LARP. And everyone will have their tablets, or at least the game master at minimum must have the AI on the tablet, so they will have access to basically the database here, the Spaceperium site, where the inputs and whatnot can happen. If a player has access either through their phone, of course, or through a tablet, then that's great too, as well, and that would be the way they would do that. Basically, everyone will be at a LARP, or a physical meeting, with their handheld device. Same thing. Same thing that would happen if they were at a let's just make sure. They will be at the meeting with a handheld device, and that will be the same thing that will happen, like when Star Trek, when they would beam down to a planet, to a planetary surface, to a ambassador type of meeting and whatnot. So it's the same type of thing. They will go. Are they on the bridge of the ship? No, they're in a real life situation. They are interacting with people, with other shipmates, etc., etc. And so the interaction becomes between them and the AI using a device. They're still on a mission. As they do their mission, a mission can be as simple as a meeting to discuss or to draw out plans for a space structure, whatever. And actually, you guys get together, you have your coffee, cake, or whatever it is you guys are going to have. You sit around and you discuss using, hopefully, some scientific knowledge and some knowledge from the database, because we'll have information here for you guys to come and extrapolate some ideas. Let's say one mission may be to extrapolate some ideas for a a habitat and in such and such of a planet, or just in space, a floating habitat that can attach itself to a ship or to a space station or what have you. And so you guys will get together, meet, make some plans. Some of you that are good at drawing, because I stink, but those that are good at drawing can sit there, can bring some drawings or start to produce some drawings. And in any and all cases, these ideas will be sent to the AI and put into the database. You see, it's the website. They will put it in under that mission title, mission to investigate, research, and plan certain habitats for testing and trial and comments. So you're pasting it up, you're posting it in order, and other players from the rest of the game, like the other 100, you can have players from other ships also look, because this is available for everyone to look at, and so they will be able to see and look at the ideas and make comments, suggestions, things like that. So it's a work in progress, with people commenting, people opining, people referencing some other, technological papers, or some YouTube lesson on weight load bearing structures and stuff like that, and then figuring out in space if you actually need all that load bearing structural integrity, etc., etc. So all of those types of things, it gets complicated, doesn't it? But anyway, that's why Spaceperium is great for all types of people, no matter how smart you are, educated, or how I just want to play a game. You are. You should be able to find a comfortable space for you to play Spaceperium within, because you don't have to discover a new cure to cancer. You don't have to do that, but you can just say your opinion and make a comment. That's okay too. That's a contribution, so that works. Okay, so at any level you want to approach Spaceperium, you can do that. We do encourage people with expertise, with a lot of knowledge, to come in and to play, to be a player, and to be more than just playing the game, to be a major contributor. Especially the more knowledge you have of these issues, the more valuable you are to the Spaceperium community, and you will be rewarded as well. Okay, so that's basically how that works. The LARP works like that. Also, we have the LARPs at different types of experiences. Everything that you can imagine that has to do with space, surviving in space, um, dealing with issues in space and whatnot. All of those things are things that our LARPs will be formed around. So you're looking at LARPs that have to do with survival, and the LARPs aren't just only like you're going to be out there in the desert and you got to figure out how to survive. No, it's not that. It is more like we're going to learn together how we can do things in a barren environment or in a jungle type of environment, different types of environments, and we're going to learn how to do X, Y, and Z. There's certain laws, how to build a habitat, how to, even how to find ways of surviving, of eating, finding food or growing food, all these different types of scenarios, possibilities, and what we call here mission types. Those will be research through real LARPs in real life. So, and then you will be invited, and at least you have to. We're making this a thing that all the players have to at least attend a LARP event once a year. I'm talking about a major event. All the ship commanders, you all will have monthly meetings, gathering together. These are lofts, but they're meeting type of lofts, right? Like you would get together at a restaurant or get together. It's 100 people. You got to figure out where you guys can get together, where there's some food that you can have, and you can have a space to talk and to discuss things and whatnot. So you'll have one type of gathering, type of meeting, which will be a monthly thing that you conduct with your ship complement. Okay, but we want all players to at least attend one major LARP in state. So at least once. Now you'll have one in the city, and you should at least all the zone ships should attend the city LARP. Again, and at least one of them. The city can have various. And the reasons for that is because of the size. The same thing with the state. The Statal Command may hold multiple statewide LARPs. Doesn't mean that everyone will be attending the same one at the same time, because there's just a humongous amount of people. Simply, certain areas may not be able to support so many. However, you will be and should be planning to attend at least one per year. Okay, that's like a little vacation. Some LARPs are 3 days long. Other LARPs will be a week long. So you need to at least figure out how to work that into your vacation time or some other time that you have and work that in. But you need to at least attend one major LARP. And that's in addition to the monthly smaller meeting LARPs, which will be conducted by your ship's Gamemaster commander. And so that's something that you have to look in. And also, if you're on a zonal ship, you will also have to attend the citywide, the Citadel meeting once a month. So that's basically what the activity is for LARPing as a meeting, the meeting LARP. That would be a standardized monthly get together. But there is an outside LARP. It can take on different forms. A lot of the basic ones would be almost like camping out, semi-resort type of campouts. It's never like you're in the middle of the forest or the desert or whatever, and you're on your own. That's never happening. These LARPs are intended to be packed in whatever side, depending on which LARP you're attending, and also which type of mission it is. And that's what's going to be happening there. And that again, everyone's connected with their tablets, with their phones. You are still connected to the AI. The AI is receiving data. It is awarding points and bonuses and rewards again, for people who are LARPing. I believe that at certain times you may even discover an artifact if the AI determines that a player is near an artifact. It will inform. It will say, "You are near an artifact. Please locate the artifact." And so that's a really exciting moment when the AI informs you, a player, that you are near an artifact. So that's really exciting for the reasons I mentioned before. So that can happen when you're at these lofts as well. And so that's how that works out. I'm thinking of other things related to that issue. Um, so basically, that's a different form of gameplay, the LARP itself. The connectivity to the AI is clear, so you're still getting points. So it's almost like you're out in the real world, but you're still connected to the game, to the AI, the artificial intelligence. And so, how you guys doing? How you doing? To the AI, and so you're basically in the video game. For people who are just into video games, you never heard of LARPing before or anything like that, you're actually living in the video game when you go on a LARP in Spaceperium, and you're the same contribution, the same input that you're providing when you're playing the online version, like we're at the bridge here, like we're doing now. Uh, Not that we're playing now, but I'm describing to you, and you're in this environment now. The same thing happens in real life when you're out there in the open and doing your mission and participating with the other players who are there, and you are connected to the AI and fulfilling the mission requirements. It's just simple. It is, again, this game going out into the real world and becoming a real part of a live action role play game in that instance. That's another part of Spaceperium. The same players who would be playing here would be attending the LARP and playing over there differently, because you'll be playing out in the open, and but still connected to the game engine, so to speak. So that's another thing about the Spaceperium game experience. Again, this will flow through. Mostly will stay that way throughout Spaceperium. There will always be a LARP, even though we're using the LARP as a developmental stage in Spaceperium. It will be a permanent version of Spaceperium that the core players, will always play. Again, these will not be available to the video game only players. The players who play only on the video game, who come to Spaceperium when the video game is available and everyone's downloading it and playing it, you guys will not attend a LARP. You guys will never be at a LARP unless you become a core player or a military a member of the military. But most of those will go to core members first. In either way, you won't be able to do that unless you come into being one of the core members and or the military. Just playing the video game does not entitle you to most of the really big benefits of getting playing Spaceperium. Those benefits come to the early adopters, as it said. Again, it's limited to only 100 per area, and that's that forever and ever and ever. So it's really imperative for anyone that's interested, really, to get involved in this. Okay, so that's an exciting part of this game. So this game, in its initial stages, has two forms. It's really exciting, because if you think about it, what other game do you have these two forms? Within the game itself, a form like online streaming, and then another form, live action, that you actually go and participate and be part of the crew, seeing each other in the face, dealing with each other, helping each other, in working out these mission issues and actually acting like you're on a mission on another planet and figuring out how to resolve this problem. So I think that's an exciting aspect, that's part of the Spaceperium initiative. And again, it's so, I think it's unique. It's bringing in, not that that experience live action is unique, but no, it's just that we have this online connectivity also that I think it makes it unique, in my opinion. I mean, there may be other games out there that, you guys play online or play as a stream, as a cooperative stream, and then, hey, we're going to be at the park on Saturday to finish this mission or do something like that. There may be something like that out there. I don't know. But as far as I can tell, what I've been seeing, this may be the only one that's going to incorporate those two forms plus the technology that connects the two together. So you have a streamlined connectivity with the game. And the fact that I think it'll be the only game that these facts, these things that are happening now, the things that will go on in the live action LARPs experiences will be permanent part of the game, the video game itself. As people will be able through the video game, I'll tell you this much, through that final video game release, the users of the game will be able to access a lot of the experiences that you guys will be creating as the initial players now. They'll be able to access it in their through their software. So these are things that may be played as a movie, like when you're playing your campaigns on some of these games that come out with this movie part, and then your part comes in to play and to shoot them up or whatever. That may be a campaign available in those releases. And what they'll be seeing is all the stuff you guys are doing now, you guys will be playing with or developing during the LARP stage, and you guys will be part of that realization. So that's exciting, the things that you guys will be doing. Plus the fact that these things are televised. The LARP experiences in particular are going to be videotaped and edited, and most of the LARPs are for TV consumption, by the way. Spaceperium also is a TV production, and so a lot of what goes on the LARPs, and obviously you'll have to sign a release and all of that, but you'll be participating. Remember, Spaceperium is an income producing venture, so you will be participating, and we're going to show you, tell to you, and explain to you exactly how that is to occur. But in any case, you as you're playing the LARPs, you will be part of a show, and a lot of the things that you do, you'll be actually being part of that show and doing that, and so that's exciting. And who knows who will become discovered through one of these shows of ours. And in any case, you'll be part of the Spaceperium video game forever and ever and ever. Your role, your character, as well as the scenes, relative scenes for a campaign in the final video game itself. So that's exciting stuff there. Again, the software will always get updated. It's mission based. So it's basically the software will load in missions every time someone plays it. And with that mission will be a campaign. So they can do the campaign, they can have free play. They have that option, just like most of the games now that you have on some of these console, that you have a campaign. The only difference, though, is that our campaigns will be fluid. So it's not just that this is one campaign and you no, the campaign's just a mission. You go and you load up a new mission, or you load up on a different day and a different mission will load in, as well as a campaign that will load into it. So it's always an endless. By the time the video game comes out, there'll be simply a massive amount of campaigns and missions, um, to explore in the video game. The only unfortunate thing for the video game players is simply that they will not be able to participate financially as the core players will, and will continue to do so. So that is the only thing. So right now, that's really why you need to take advantage of the opportunity. Game Master is the first opportunity open now, and the Game Masters then will make their hunt. They have to fill up their ships, so they're the ones that will be advertising in their area, recruiting members. And once the membership number is done, it's done. That's it. Okay. So that being said, that's again, try to get into the political parts of uh, Spaceperium. Let me get into some of the news, and just use some of that to get into certain topics. Um, and we have this military issue here happening. These are things that will be mirrored in the game itself. This is Google News. As you can see, Defense Secretary says Trump ordered him to let Eddie Gallagher retire as a Navy SEAL. This is, of course, the case of the controversy over the pardon that President Trump issued for this Navy SEAL, that other than the misstep that was had, um, he would be just a regular Navy SEAL, a hero, and doing what they do. And again, I'm urged to go into the politics and this issue of opinion. When you're looking at news, you got to be careful. When you have to look for this thing here. You see that? It says opinion. So don't just go by the headlines. Be careful, because a lot of it is opinion, even when it doesn't say opinion. You have to be able to identify an opinion even when it's not labeled as an opinion. So you have to be able to see that. One moment, please. Okay, yeah, there I am. All right. So you have to be able to see that in the text itself, in the articles, when it says that it doesn't say opinion. You need to be able to see an opinion within a regular news article. Okay, so basically, how does Spaceperium deal with this issue? This is a very important issue. Can you imagine if you're in space? We have the space colony, and we have this happening. Somebody disobeying a command from the commander in chief. Myself, as an as the imperial leader, majesty of the Imperium, this can't happen. I have absolute authority. I have more authority than the President of the United States has. His authority is limited by the Constitution. But even in his authority here, I'm thinking that he's dealing with such obstruction that it's even coming out in a place that it really shouldn't. This is shocking. And so now the Secretary of the Navy is forced out, obviously, for insubordination. It's as simple as that. If the president is the chief commander in chief, then that is the end of the story. So, again, he's not, he just simply had to go. And this is something that cannot be tolerated at all. So I find it very hard to defend. I'm going to go into the NPR article to see how some more of the development of this story. All right. And here we have the Defense Secretary Mark Esper. Here pictured in October, told reporters at the Defense Department on Monday that President Trump ordered him to ensure that Eddie Gallagher retained his Navy SEAL Trident pin. President Trump has repeatedly intervened on behalf of the Navy SEAL recently convicted of misconduct. And Defense Secretary Mark Esper said Trump did it again over the weekend, directly ordering him to allow Chief Petty Officer Eddie Gallagher to retire as a SEAL. I spoke with the president on Sunday. He gave me the order that Eddie Gallagher will retain his Trident pin. Esper told reporters on Monday at the Defense Department, referring to the insignia designating Gallagher as a member of the elite commando force, which he is. I mean, that he did gain that honor and that placement. The order from the commander-in-chief effectively put an end to proceedings by a Trident review board that were called by the commander of the Navy Special. That's probably the reason. Rear Admiral Colin Green. The panel was charged with deciding whether Gallagher and 3 of his supervising officers were fit for duty. In Gallagher's case, the board was set to convene next week. On Monday, Esper also reiterated his reasons for asking Navy Secretary Richard Spencer to tender his resignation on Sunday. He accused Spencer of circumventing the appropriate channels, including Esper himself, to engage in direct negotiations with the White House to allow Gallagher to remain a SEAL. Meanwhile, Spencer was saying publicly that the Trident Review Board process should be allowed to play out. Right, because does it really matter? I mean, what Trump did already now would be done then. I don't think it would have mattered. But then again, why have them go through the trouble, right? This proposal was completely contrary to what we agreed to and contrary to Secretary Spencer's public position. Esper said, adding that he was completely caught off guard by this information, realized that it had undermined everything we had been discussing with the president. Esper tried to undo the perception that Spencer's dismissal was tied to the specifics of Gallagher's case, saying instead that it was over the chain of command. Okay, so basically it was going around the chain of command. That's what they're focusing on. Gallagher, who served multiple tours in Iraq, was accused of a slew of crimes, including the murder of a wounded Islamic State prisoner. In the end, he was acquitted of all but one charge, posing with a dead detainee. Can you imagine that? This is what this is all about. We go send these our boys and girls out to the front lines. They're getting shot at. They're getting bombs thrown, at their legs and their arms to dismember them and maim them in any way possible. And we sit home to judge how they react. And I don't know how I would react if you got a slew of people trying to kill me. And all I was doing was, serving my country. I just wanted to, a lot of people go to have a better life. I knew someone, I don't know, I knew someone who went to the army, who then saw another soldier going on their way to boot camp, with the first pair of shoes they have ever worn in their life. You know, these are the kids. They're coming from poor families, poor beginnings, some of them, and they're thrown in the face of this incredible, dangerous world out there. And we sit, the thing that gets to me is that we sit here at home, nice and safe, and, you know, to us, oh, he did a bad thing. You know, I think it's really a shame that we're making these people go out there and then we're not backing them up. That's a shame. I'm not suggesting that people go and commit crimes, but I don't think this guy went to become a Navy SEAL, because becoming a Navy SEAL is like, you know, it's a big thing. You know, you need a lot of what, discipline. You need a lot of you know, determination, persistence. You know, I don't think he went into the armed forces to commit crimes. You know, he could have stayed home to commit crimes, right? I mean, there's some cities you can go to commit crime, like Chicago, or these are professional criminal areas. You don't need to go to the army to commit crimes, or the navy, or any armed forces. So, you know, again, it's like, how would you react? To me, the things that they have to do to relieve their stress, to deal with this lunacy of war and killing people. I mean, this is just madness. It's madness. And to expect someone to go in and come out without a scar in their brain, and I'm talking about their mentality, their mental state. No, he's a soldier. He should have known better. Come on now, he's not playing a video game. This is real. Those bombs are real. His friends died for real. They're not respawning. They are not respawning. And I don't know what type of mental training they are offered, because if they're not offered any mental training, then the armed forces is to blame. You really have to take the blame. I would blame the armed forces for not helping these guys, getting them prepared. And it's not prepared with equipment only. It's not with training or anything. It's the mental strength to endure. I don't think they're breaking them in. I think that because of the risk. If you do that with all your men, you may not have any men left to go out and do any shooting. And that's the reality of it. So I really do not like to go in and second guess the armed forces, and sit in an accusatorial position against any service member for actions they do in the field of battle. Now, I understand that we don't want our boys and girls, to be suffering. Also, some other enemies, lost their mind and doing whatever they had to do. So we kind of like hide this, and behind this pretend wall of what they're calling honor. That's a difficult spot to be, but at least according to this article at NPR, they acquitted Gallagher of all the charges. So at least somebody there using the brain, except for one, which is to pose with a dead detainee. So what this means to me is that they were willing to be sensible, as I am, right, and let him walk. Okay, all right. But the problem was, there's a picture with him showing this dead detainee as if it was a trophy. That went beyond. Okay, you have, what did you do? Why did you have to do this? Okay, so you did not have enough, excuse me, self control to prevent you from doing this act, which is totally like, how can we defend? We could defend the other stuff, but not this. So yeah, so I can see where they would be hard pressed to ignore that picture. Okay, so it still it still is the point that I'm trying to make. Regardless, is that the picture was simply the final therapy he gave himself, dealing with this craziness of fighting in the field. So even it's distasteful, but it was what he thought that he needed. Simply, even though it was really out this bad taste, but again, he's not in the state of mind to be tasteful. Simple as that. So again, I would still, because of the good things that he did, I would look the other way on this photo. On this photo, I would give him some other type of punishment, some other type of, we got to slap you on the wrist and whatnot. Um, Again, I don't know. I believe the policies in the armed forces, they're very strong. I would assume, I have to, if they're making a big deal about this, I would have to assume that they're very strong about stuff like that. And they've probably said it a million times. Hopefully, that's the truth. Hopefully, they went through some sensitivity training, so they even eat, so that to the point that even if they go mad, at least they won't take a photograph with the dead person. You understand what I'm trying to say? Because if they didn't do this, I still think that they're being a little bit too hard on these guys. Give them some remediation, some rehabilitation, but to throw them out. What it says here, it says part of his sentence included a demotion to the lower rank of petty officer first class. Again, so is this fair? You have to, someone in the armed forces would have to, I don't want to hear an officer's opinion. I want to hear an opinion of a peer of his, one of his peers. What is this fair, or they're being hard on this? We all go through this stress. It's like incredible stress, and that could have been me given similar circumstances, and I almost got there myself. I mean, I want to hear from a person who went through what this guy went through. That's all. That's all. That's what I would need to hear in order to deal with this situation here, to better judge this, if I would even allow myself. But in any case, Trump subsequently overturned that decision, commanding the Navy to promote Gallagher back to petty officer. And I guess, you see, it's the same quagmire that I am. I'm in it myself. Okay, so yeah, we send them out to harm's way. I mean, this guy didn't create ISIS. You understand that? You gotta understand. We interrupted his life. We interrupted his life, and then we sent him over. And then now, what you plan to do? It's just that whole thing. It seems unfair to me, and simply, it's one of the reasons that not that I didn't go into the armed forces myself. Majorly, yes and no. It's like 50-50, maybe 55 to 45 on yes, that I didn't go into the military because I couldn't trust the military. That's why. If you want to really hear, so hey, I have a confession. I did not go into the military because I didn't trust, not necessarily the military, but the government behind the military in that time. Let me see when that was. This was when I was 18. That was 40 years ago. 40 years ago, I had an opportunity to go into the armed forces. Now, 40 years ago would be in the 80s. Okay, let me look at what was happening in the 80s. There was something happening. Uh, 1980s U.S. Conflicts. Let's see what was going on exactly. Because I do remember that I had a repulsion to trusting the government and with me in the military. So basically, there was the Cold War. There was no active. It looks like no active conflict. There were. It was a. There were a lot of things going on that periled or that gave the impression uh, that the U.S. would eventually be drawn into a direct confrontation. So I think that's what was happening at the time. We had the Cold War again with the Russia. So it was kind of like a very. It looks like here that we had terrorist attacks. There were international wars, civil wars, and guerrilla wars. Again, and what is the participation of the United States? We know only ones who knew really were the ones in the military, right? And is this the time where we had the Iran Contra thing? Let me look at that. I mean, there was things to be concerned about. Iran Contra years. Let's look at that. When did that happen? See, that's in the 80s as well. August 20, 1985 to March 4, 1987. So that whole bad business about Iran Contra and the government like doing shady stuff. This didn't sit well for me as an 18-year-old, considering, maybe I should go into the armed forces. Then I say, nah. And what really got me turned off were the earlier years, actually, not the 80s, but actually the 60s and 70s. These are the years I grew up in, which I believe involved war. Let me see there was a link here. Let me see something here that would show what I'm talking about. List of wars involving the United States. So let's go there. And the stuff that I grew up, I was born in 1963. And so let's say about eight, when I'm eight, I'm really like, I can hear news or hear people talking about it. So let's consider from 63 to 1970s, the 70, 71, 72. These things would start like really impacting me. So let's see what was happening, because I knew that when I got to be 18, I definitely did not want any war to occur, because I wasn't feeling going into the armed forces, not because I didn't want to, serve my country, but that I had a very strong feeling that my country wasn't watching my back. and that's how I grew up with that feeling. It's a feeling, and I think it was based on what was the previous experiences as I was growing up in with the military and in the country. So let's look at what we have here during those years in question. Okay, the Korean War had already been passed. Here in the 70s, here we go. You see, we have this issue of the Vietnam War. Vietnam, 55 to 64. Then we have 65 to 73. 73. So during my growing up years, we have the war in Vietnam. Direct U.S. involvement ended in 1973. So right when I'm 18, 19, 20, let's get that right. Wait a minute. No. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Scratch that. When I'm 8, 9, and 10, when I can hear news, I can hear people talking, I can hear comments on the TV, radio, and in school. So right when I'm 8, 9, and 10, and at 10 years of age, the direct U.S. involvement in Vietnam terminates. So I have at least 3 years of understanding that we're at war in Vietnam, and also knowing what I know now. Uh, the experience was negative because a lot of the folks here in the United States were against the Vietnam, participating in the Vietnam War. They were totally against it. There was a lot of protesting, this and that. People were dodging the draft, right? That's what I grew up in. That's where my mind began to develop cognitively, in terms of being able to understand what's happening around me during these years. Air Force and Special Ops continued some operation until 1975. That makes me 12 years old. President Ford, in a televised speech on April 23, 1970, declared the end of the Vietnam War. And then what happens after that in terms of people's comments or what people were saying, etc., that is what we have in going on. You have other things that happen. U.S. Allied victory here in the communist insurgency in Thailand from 65 to 1983. So we see some things going on over there. So basically, we have the Korean DMZ conflict. So as you can see, 1966 to 69, these are the years that I was 3. This is 3 to 9 years old. So as you can see, well, not really. I'm sorry. That's 6 years. 6 years, 3 years here. So I was 3 to 6 years old there. So that was happening. I don't remember anything about the war in Korea and all that. But after that, as I was understanding society going towards my 10th year and beyond, we still talked about. People were talking about the Korean, the this and that. These are the guys from the Korean War. Here, these are the guys from the Vietnam War. They were not treated. I believe the ones from Vietnam were not treated well at all. You have the 1981, the Gulf of Sidra encounter, United States. 19 August 1981, 2 Russian-made Libyan Su-22 fighter fired upon and was subsequently shot down by 2 U.S. F-14 Tomcats off the Libyan coast. Tension. Ooh. So this was in 1981. Again, I'm 18 at this point. 19. What was it? See, it would have been 20. I'm 20 years old. What? No, I'm sorry. I'm 17. So this is here 17, 16, 17. There's a possibility of war, and they're talking about the third war. This may be the World War can begin. This is what everybody was talking about back then. So this is the environment that I was raised in, and it's the reason why mostly I was distrusting government, because what I saw was that when people come back from these wars, they're like treated like, they were scum or something. I said, what the hell's going on? So again, these were the things I wasn't seeing, a support of the military that would be conducive for me to think of it in any positive way. Anything like, yeah, let me join the military. I want to join the military. I just didn't see it. I didn't see that is something that I would have done based on what we were seeing. I just couldn't see it at all. Didn't make any sense to me, and all it did was create, what do you call that, when you have no suspicion, lack of confidence in the government being able to back me up, so to speak. I just didn't see it at all. I just couldn't see it. I didn't see it at all. I didn't think that it was something that was possible. And that's basically the way I looked at it, and the reason why I didn't join the military. Here we go now again. If I had seen this back in the day, that would have been another reason that I wouldn't be trusting the government. That would be just one more reason why I wouldn't trust the government in any way to back me up. And so that is something that um, I just wouldn't have believed that they would do that. There was no reason for me to believe that they would back me up in any way possible, or in any form. I just couldn't see it at all. That would be so basically, and I still now hold. You see how impacting it is that still today I still don't see um, how government can be trusted. Here's this guy, because I'm feeling like this guy over here, he got put in. And the other thing, I have a cousin, or had a cousin, he's already passed on, come back with issues from being in the military. But I have that experience that in the family, at least I have two people in my family, immediate family, that were not served faithfully by the military, and by extrapolation the government. They didn't treat him right. And again, all I can see is that, you know what, I was right not going into the military. That is all that what I can glean from their experiences. A brother of mine and a cousin of mine, is that I was right in not going into the military, because simply, in both of their cases, the way it looks like to me, I don't know all the details, it just doesn't look right. It looks like they were dumped. And I think that is like unfair, that you take out a few years of a man's life and then you dump him. That, I think, is like the most terrible thing that this business of the military, and serving your country. You got to come and be patriotic, serve your country, but then look what happens. I mean, where I have no confidence that that any good will come out And then now I don't want to mix in this thing with Trump now, but it's just getting ridiculous. I mean, what type of government or what type of end result is possible when we have this type of outcome? I think it's totally ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous to expect anything to come out of this. Let me just make I know some of you are not seeing the same thing. Let me just make a technical correction here. And where are you? Over here. Okay, so yeah, I just don't see how it does not it does not give me confidence at all when you see this type of thing happening. Just simple as that. Okay, so again, um, I think that that Trump, as far as the information that I have, the understanding that I have, and also the way that I grew up, I don't know. Trump is older than me substantially. He has what, at least 30 years above where I'm at. So I believe so, a little less. But in any case, even if it's 20 years, I mean, he went through that time period of the wars. He had more of it, and he saw the results that I saw as a small child. He saw it as an older person already, as an adult. So it doesn't look right. It just doesn't look right. I'm sure he has even more stronger opinions than I do, based on that issue alone. So, and we're both from New York. So again, I just don't see it, and that's why I don't uh, uh, I don't condemn military for things that they have to do that deal with trying to survive under those conditions. I just can't bring myself to judge them on that or to blame them, hold them accountable. Because I hear people saying they're soldiers, they're supposed to be accountable. They know that it's a badge of honor and this and that. I say, come on, you're getting people trying to kill you. What honor is theirs? You remember, or let me be nice to this guy who's trying to kill me. He's trying to take me away from my kids or what? Are you serious? I just don't see it. Maybe I need to have some of you guys who are military vets come in and tell me. You see this video, come in, give me a message, tell me, talk to me. Because I don't see it. I simply don't see it. I can't bring myself to do that. I can't hold myself to that because I really don't know. I don't know how I would react or anything like that. And simply, it's like when someone's coming into your home, what are you going to do? Someone comes into your home and they're going to um, uh, hurt you and your family. They're going to rape your daughters. Come on now, talk to me. Talk to me. Don't tell me you're going to be do things honorably and according to the code of ethics and the code of the army or the navy or what the hell are you going to do? You're going to tear the guy apart. That's what you're going to do, and you're going to take the picture. You understand me? This, you come on now. Let's talk. Let's talk some reality here. That's what the guy was going to do to you. He's not going by any code of ethics. So I simply don't agree with all the folks that are saying that it's not because of Trump, that they're saying that this guy doesn't deserve a break. I believe that the court did give him a break. And for that, I give them credit. They couldn't find a way beyond the photograph. So I get it. I understand that. I'm not holding that court in any way. Again, I'm not there to judge them either. They got serious matters to take care of. But I think as for the American population and for the president, who is a civilian, he's not a member of the military. And the purpose, what people don't understand, is that the reason our forefathers put a person in a regular civilian in charge of the government and in charge of the military is to bring a civilian's point of view into the mix. It isn't that the military does what it's supposed to do and we're the military hands off. This is military business and all that. No, you have a commander in chief who is a civilian. And that, as much as he is a civilian, and that he sees, in he or she, whoever it is, they in their own determination, that they see that something does not sit well with them, they have the right to intervene. That's the whole purpose. What is the purpose of having a civilian as the commander in chief otherwise? See, if anyone asks that question, why did the forefathers foresee a need to put a civilian in charge of the military forces? It's not just to not to prevent a coup. A coup can always happen. You understand, especially with these silly bunnies here who are disobeying and finding an issue with the president and wanting to do something. So what is that? A private coup? I mean, it's getting silly. Are they testing to see if they can get away with a coup in this country? Is that what we're seeing? Hey, General, see if you can disobey President Trump. Let's just see. See if you can get away with it, because that's something we're going to want to do in the future. We can't get him impeached. Is that what this is all about? Because he's in charge of the military forces, at least for 30 days. the president the president can wage war for 30 days, and Congress has 30 days, or at the end of those 30 days Congress has to approve or disapprove of the president's command to send the armed forces. And simply, if they disapprove, the armed forces return home. That's all. That's it. No one is. The Constitution doesn't say that the president was wrong. It's just simply, if the president has to decide to send armed forces immediately, he has the right and the need to do so. Period. It's just that in 30 days, Congress needs to review to make sure that either we're going for this war, we're confirming it, we need to do this, or listen, no, we want to get out. We don't need to be there. That's not our business. Whatever it is, we don't want the war. The people don't want the war. We're out. Simple. That's okay. It's checks and balances. But don't say that the president can't do it. He can. That's a power. He has the power to do it. So let him do it. He has the power to do it. Let him do it. So that's as simple as that. Okay, so that's politics. Now, I'm going to leave it like that for today. It's just we're experimenting on politics and Spaceperium, and seeing how to include politics in some way or some fashion into this mix. Obviously, we have to consider the point in terms of insubordination, in terms of what the rules are, how this disagreement in the hierarchy of Spaceperium, how is that going to get resolved? Is simply just like the forefathers. I think they did it the right way. In Spaceperium, there really is no a check and balance in terms of my office. My role is completely imperialistic and dictatorial. Although, as the spiritual leader, I don't do that. Simply the reason. See, I could, but I don't. So that's again a the emphasis that I have as the spiritual leader in Spaceperium. Even though I have full power over Spaceperium, over the military, everything, I have that power. I don't use it in the political sense. Yeah, okay, so that's the basic premise. Now that means that the I set the parameters. So simply the commanders, the hierarchy in Spaceperium and the military. You guys have your rule books to go by. You take your orders from your commanders. It's just simple, and that's it. And there's no reason for me to really intervene. I'll be thinking about this in the coming days. We will think about this. Is there any reason for the Imperial Majesty to overrule a game master, for example, or a uh, a ship's captain, general, or admiral in any way in during the gameplay? It's really none, because the role that they play is not really something that would put them in a conflict with the imperial order. So again, yeah, like that's not. This should be no reason for that to happen, but it's something that we are going to continue to look at and to deal or prepare for within our training and within our manuals. That situation, what would happen in that situation? All right, so that's it for this broadcast. We're going to cut it here. And we may get on a little later on with something else, but that's it for today. Thank you for watching and considering to join us at Spaceperium. If you want to become a game master, which is really the only thing you can do right now, it is a business. It's not just a game, a place to play your game. It is a business. So you need to understand that. And that's the only thing that's available right now for you to get involved with. If you can take a look, consider, and join us. Again, listen carefully to all the details. And thank you for watching.